Well, today, if you guys know, today we're gonna be doing an experiment about the floating egg and the sinking egg, and all of that about the egg sinking and floating all ties into one word, which is buoyancy. And today I'm gonna be showing you this video and explaining you a little bit about buoyancy, and then from there we're gonna do a quiz, and then I will show you the experiment itself, and we'll go from there. Okay, boys and girls. So today, buoyancy is the topic of discussion. So here we go. The name of the video is "Can you drown in the Dead Sea?" And we will find out if you can actually drown in the Dead Sea. So here we go.
Smart learning for all. Buoyancy. Can you drown in the Dead Sea? Your answer must be yes, right? You must be thinking that anyone who cannot swim will obviously drown, whether it is a swimming pool or the Dead Sea. However, that is not 100% true. Confused? Let me explain to you. When an object is partly or wholly immersed in a fluid, an upward force is exerted by the fluid on that object. This tendency of the fluid to exert an upward force on the object is called buoyancy, or upthrust. This upward force is called buoyant force. So, do you finally get it? Let me give you one more example. Place a piece of wood in water and push it downwards. What do you observe? It seems like something is pushing the piece of wood upwards, right? Water exerts an upward force on the wood. That is why the wood is getting pushed upwards. This force is called buoyant force, and the tendency of water to exert that buoyant force is called buoyancy. The sea has a huge amount of salt dissolved in it as compared to any other sea or ocean. The presence of this salt increases density of water present in the Dead Sea. Higher density leads to greater buoyant force. As the Dead Sea has very high density, it exerts enough amount of buoyant force to make us float on it. So, if we can float on the Dead Sea, we are definitely not going to drown in it. Hooray!
As you may know, when you guys are in the pool, and if you guys ever try to push down a ball, like a ball that's floating in the pool, and you try to push it down to the water, there's like this amount of force exerting itself upwards, and that right there is the buoyant force, and also the buoyancy. So, and when we float in the pool, all of that upward force, that upward buoyant force, is helping us float, which is once again the buoyancy that we are talking about. So right now we're gonna go ahead and do the quiz. Question number 1: what is the tendency of the fluid to exert an upward force on the object called? Everybody started writing their answers. I see that Jennifer and Jacqueline have answered. Anyone else? Sophia, okay. The answer is actually buoyancy, because the tendency of the fluid to exert an upward force is buoyancy. So not buoyant force. But the next question, you could redeem yourself right now. Well, hold on. I actually messed up real quick on the first question. So yes, the first question, if you answer B or C, you are correct. I put D just in case if you guys are paying more attention. Both B and C are correct answers. So if you either pick B or C, that's fine. But the actual correct answer is D. Yeah, I just want to see if you guys are paying attention. All right. So real quick, number 2. What is the upward force called? Is it A, buoyancy? Is it B, buoyant force? Is it C, density? Or is it D, mass? Okay. Anyone else? Jacqueline? Yes, thank you. for privately messaging me. So yes, whoever answered B, you are correct. The upward force is buoyant force. So good job. So remember, buoyancy is the tendency of the fluid to exert an upward force, but the actual upward force is called buoyant force. That's what helps us, float in the seawater. Or in this case, if we were to go to the Dead Sea, we are going to be able to float. And especially in our pools too. If you guys know how to float, you got the upward force, the buoyant force helping you stay in that position where you could, chill out in the pool. All right, so number 3. So the Dead Sea, we all know, contains a lot of salt compared to all the oceans around the world. With all that salt, what increases the water to create more buoyant force? Is it A, buoyancy? Is it B, density? Is it C, mass? Or is it D, none of the above? Sophia, okay. Okay, Patty, thank you. Clarissa, thank you. Jacqueline, okay, good. All right, great. Great job. All right, so the answer is B, density. Remember in the video, it described that when you have a lot of salt in the water, it increases the density, which then increases the buoyancy / buoyant force. So whenever you guys ever go to the Dead Sea, which at this point, I don't think we could because, right now you're going to be able to float and you in the water. It's going to be extremely easy for you to float there just because all that water, really high concentration of salt water, is going to be able to make you float. Let's go ahead and actually show it, because that's what we're here for, to show the science experiment, application of science. That's what it's all about. So today, the materials that you're going to be needing for this experiment is quite simple. You're going to be needing salt. You're going to need to have 2 eggs right here. And then you also I got 2 cups of water. And then we're going to need a tablespoon, a handy dandy tablespoon. Okay. So real quick, I'm going to demonstrate the constant variable or the control variable, where if we just completely have water it by itself and we just have the egg, I'm just going to dump it in there and you guys let me know what's going to happen. Is it going to sink or is it going to float? I want you guys to give me your hypothesis in the chat. Looks like it's a unanimous decision. So let's go ahead. Let me stop talking and let's just do it. You see right there, the egg just sunk completely. Right there in the water. There's no density, no buoyancy, no buoyant force. The density of the water, it was incapable of keeping it afloat. So that's why we bring our friend right here, the sea salt. The sea salt is gonna do its magic. So I'm pretty sure we don't need to do the hypothesis, but if you guys want to guess what you think is gonna happen if I'm gonna put this on the egg inside the water full of salt, is it gonna sink or float? Oh, that's a lot of salt. Okay, so everyone put your answers and your hypothesis in the chat while I put 3 tablespoons of salt inside this cup. That's that's part of the experiment, to add the 3 tablespoons of salt into this water, so that way you could get the best results. Okay, so keep that in mind if you guys want to perform this experiment in your house. So real quick, we got the salt. And remember, in order to help it dissolve, you just got to stir it a little bit. Right there, give it a little twirl in there. And then it should be good. So right now, I'm gonna put this water. I'm gonna put this egg inside the water full of salt. Let's see what occurs. Right there, you see? Oh, I guess I didn't. Wait, no. That's not supposed to happen. It sunk. Look at that. Sometimes in science, nothing goes your way. Let me see if I put a little more salt in there. That was sad. Okay, it's kind of floating a little bit up. No, it's just sinking. I guess it's myth busted today. It's supposed to sink. Let me just redo it real quick. Oh, I'm dripping a little water.
Does anybody has an hypothesis of why it sunk?
That's a good question, Andrea. Thank you. Let me just. Sometimes you gotta add a little more. You gotta break the rules a little bit. Add a little more salt rather than go by the books. Let me see if I add more salt to this. The egg will hopefully.
I got it to float.
What happened? You got it to float? Oh, look at that. I think you should be teaching this. You're a better scientist than I am. I can't
I
believe
just
this.
put a lot of salt.
Yes, that's what I'm doing right now. Let's hopefully I could get this performed correctly. All right, look at that. I got it to float.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your insight.
How's it going, Sophia?
I'm just trying to put it in the bowl.
Okay.
In the bowl.
Did you get yours to float?
I already got mine to float, but I took it out because I want to put it in the bowl, but I don't think it's actually gonna work because my bowl is really big.
Okay. Keep trying.
I see Jacqueline Martinez's folks. They're doing it also. Looks like there might have been a spill.
It seems like her eggs are floating though, so.
Any more successes so far? Let me see, Raphael. Ooh, look at that. That's awesome. Look at that floating egg. I could barely even see it because of how much salt you put in. It's great. No, that's awesome. Great job. That's exactly how, if you were to go to the Dead Sea, that's exactly what would happen if you were to float in it. And the water would be extremely murky, just like right now.
I wonder if it's almost like the Dead Sea was like a bunch of spoons holding up everything.
Maybe. That's a good observation.